All right, hi Song, hi Ryan. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Vonvo.com. Today's date is April 7th, 2013. We're here to discuss North Korea. Um, just before we get started, right now this conversation is being recorded, and after the recording is completed, I'll be uploading this video to YouTube to the internet. Is that okay with both of you?
Sure. Yes, it is.
Okay, great. And then on top of that, here at Vonvo, we're all about our discussion staying both civil and valuable. We don't want there to be any personal attacks against one another. Are you guys fine with that ground rule?
Yes.
Great. So let's get started. Just for anyone who's in the audience right now listening and watching, would you guys mind just giving a quick background of yourself and why you're so passionate about this topic? And Brian, you can go first, and then Song, you can go afterwards.
Well, my name's Ryan Last, and I have been working in international relations for the past several years for the United States government and for outside governments on the side for being contracted to consult them. And several clients live in the Asian region, and I find this topic of Korea to become more of a nuisance in the news than it is in reality.
Okay, great. And Song?
Okay, my name is Sean Song, and then I've been living in Korea for about 26 years. I'm currently living in Silicon Valley, California. I came here about 2 years ago. Well, the reason I'm interested in this North Korea issue is because, that's where I'm from pretty much. I came from South Korea, and then I have some opinion about it, but I want to talk about it.
Great. So, Ryan...
Sean, were you in the military?
Yeah, I went to military for 2 years, and my military service was, because I am Korean citizen, I have to go to army for 2 years in South Korea.
Yeah.
What happens is that if you don't go to army in South Korea for 2 years, you go to jail. You ain't got no choice.
Yeah.
In my case, I was able to speak two languages, which is English. They gave me two options to serve the army, either 8th U.S. Army base or Korean Army. But Korean Army has less holiday than U.S. Army, so I joined U.S. Army. So I basically worked for Korean Army for 2 years, doing in U.S. Army base. That's what I did.
Great. So, Ryan, what's your overall take then on this topic as a whole? It's been getting a lot of media play. Are you you kind of just hinted that you think it's
well,
sort of
I have
overblown?
many friends.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I have many friends in the region right now who believe that that this whole nothing but a political play, and it's different what's being said in the news in the United States. In the United States, it seems that war is imminent and that it will happen. But it seems to me that in South Korea, in Tokyo, in Japan, that the people are going on their daily lives like nothing ever is going on in the North. Speaking with former generals who worked in the region, believe that if anything was going to happen as serious as the North Koreans would say, you wouldn't be seeing the North Korean leader in public. He would be underground. He would be hidden. He would be the generals would not be as public as he is today. And I think that everything is just political play. It's to show the world, do not mess with us. Do not stand in our way while we build our nuclear facilities. And I think the President of the United States hasn't really said a lot. And that means in Washington is that there are most likely operations going on as we speak, and he doesn't want to call attention to it because there are probably military operations going on in the region to gather intelligence on what is going on there. I think this is the best opportunity for the president, or a final chance for diplomatic dialogue with North Korea before this whole powder keg explodes. And it might be the right time to kick it, like I said, old school on my blog, where I say that the president and Kim Jong-un should really be sitting down together and talking, just as the President Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush did with Gorbachev, Nixon and Ford did with Brezhnev, and Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai, and Johnson with Kaisjen and Kennedy with Khrushchev. These are presidents not that long ago were meeting with Cold War leaders of the Soviet Union, and it is not in America. We everything is on partisan lines, where you see Republicans and Democrats bickering over should he sit down, should they use military force, should we have diplomacy, and I think that this is a Republican and Democrat issue that we can say, listen, let's sit down and meet with the North Koreans and settle this once and for all. Bill Clinton, former President of the United States, Jimmy Carter have both been to the region, and I think that is a great opportunity to open the dialogue with using those two.
Sung, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I agree with a lot of things you said. The thing is that this issue is very similar to Israel-Palestine issue, matter of fact. For instance, Israel have more than 400 nuclear bombs, and they weren't internationally approved. They just pushed them themselves, and U.S. doesn't fuck with them. UN actually gave a couple of objections, but UN can do nothing, we obviously know. In case of North Korea, every year, South Korea and USA, they do massive amount of military exercise right beside North Korea, threatening them. US and South Korea has been doing that exercise for the last 50 years with a nuclear submarine and every kind of edge technology, stealth and shit like that. And recently, the Gaddafi of Libya, remember US told them, Libya, Gaddafi, they gave up nuclear bomb, just like US promised. Because US promised that if you guys give up nuclear bomb, we're gonna, just let you guys get away. And they did, and guess what they did? They just killed them. North Korea learned a lot of lessons looking at Iraq, Afghanistan, Gaddafi, Libya. What they learned is that if they give up the nuclear bomb, US will fuck them up, in their case, just for survival. In case of US, they have a 20,000 nuclear bomb. Israel have more than 400.
Right.
And North Korea have only one or two.
The
well,
amount
I think this is a totally different. This is a different issue because in the sense of Israel and Palestine, this is a total different region. This is that region is in a totally different category compared to what the Koreans are dealing with, because the Koreans, their leader, their former president, the South Korean former president, and it seems like we're upset with what his response was several years ago when the North Koreans basically blew up a commercial vessel off the sea, off the peninsula coast. And the response from the former president was not as strong as what they wanted. They wanted retaliation, it seems like, and he didn't provide it. Now you have a new Korean president who seems to really not tolerate the North Koreans' movement. And I can understand the North Korean aggression. But the United States must take every precaution to secure its military bases, its allies, its territories, and that if that means providing air service to air missiles in the region, then they should be able to do that to protect its own interests. It's not about egging on the North Koreans. I think it's really about egging on. Not egging. I think it's really about, like I said, providing the security interests for their soldiers, for their allies, and North Korea. I don't know the full intelligence reports that are coming out of there, but it seems to me that even the Chinese are becoming to get fed up with them, who is their only partner in the region. So you can imagine that the only friend to North Korea is saying now, listen, we're going to provide, we're going to agree to sanctions at the UN. We are going to halt any further negotiations with the Koreans at this point, with the North Koreans, I mean. The Chinese would rather see a new leadership in Pyongyang that is more pro-Chinese and less aggressive than the current dictator is.
Go ahead, Song.
Okay, so what happened to North Korea, the issue of North Korea, in South Korea, they use it to manipulate people's mind. Okay, for about 10 years ago, what happens is that the South Korea Republican Party, they secretly send a message to North Korea saying that, would you please make some hassle so people will get scared and people will vote for Republican Party? And they got revealed. The role of North Korea is like playing a bad guy. Once somebody play a bad guy, a lot of things goes good for military-industrial complex in the United States and South Korea Republican Party. So in their case, they kind of love it for some reason. Even though they pretend to be scared of it, actually they plan them behind them. It's like, you know, when you watch a Hollywood movie, always the bad people are fucking Arabs and the North Korean, right? And it's too easy for them to make a story that way. Well, here's the thing. For the last 50 years, North Korea have not attacked any single country. They have not attacked Vietnam. They have not attacked Afghan. They have not attacked Iraq. They didn't genocide Palestinians. They have done none of that. Which country attacked the most country for the last 50 years and killed most people? What about Vietnam? Were they a real threat? 4 million, 5 million Vietnamese got brutally killed. What did they do? Not that I know of, right? But back then, everybody believed that Vietnamese were evil people, that we South Koreans have to go kill them or something. Now what do? We regret about them. Right. Say what you want to say.
Well, I think that what the Americans, what the Chinese, what the South Koreans, what the Japanese, I think are more worried about is what will happen if they do get the nuclear weapon and they do build this. It's not about let's replace this dictator just because he's a dictator at this point. It's let's replace this dictator because he has an aim of building a nuclear weapon. The Americans are afraid at this point, post 9/11, is all about will nuclear, chemical, biological weapons fall in the hands of terrorists. And I think that the United States has to take, like I said, precautions to prevent that. And if the Koreans do not follow, the North Koreans do not follow through with this, the Chinese are prepared, the Americans and the Koreans are prepared. But, you know, the North Koreans, they live in a society where most people do not go to bed hungry. Most people do not get food. Most people do not see, they don't have the freedoms. Just like the people in Libya, just like the people in Palestine, in the Palestinian territories, they do not have a lot of freedoms that most people in this world have. I mean, Sung-Hae, you grew up in South Korea, am I right?
That's correct.
You had the freedom to go and get an education, to go and speak your mind, to go to America. These people don't have that freedom. And I think that it's a global effort, not an American effort, not a South Korean effort, to give these people the rights that they deserve. It's a human right issue. It is a right that every person is born with, not through God, but through moral values. And, you know, I think that this region, as I have a friend who's serving in the South Korean army right now, you know, they really instill in these Koreans this hostility. You know, I still do believe that there's this old generational thinking in South Korea that, you know, the North Koreans are these bad people and they need to go. But no, North Korea is not bad. The dictatorship, the leadership there is the ones that need to go. And, you know, then people can live their lives they can farm, they can be, go into technology, they can go into education. That is what needs to happen. I mean, any nuclear weapon can't reach the United States at this point. That's what intelligence reports are saying. But the South Korea, it could hit South Korea, it hit Guam, it hit Japan. I mean, this is a huge threat to the region. Instability in the region, which is already happening because of the Chinese build up in their military power. So, you know, adding on to that will not help it.
All right. I mean, I appreciate your concern for the people's freedom and all that. But here's the thing: the only reason why North Korea is developing a nuclear bomb is because they are so scared of the United States. This is the first reason and the only reason why they want to survive. Because they watch Gaddafi, Libya, Iraq, Afghan, every country, including Vietnam, got just messed up, got destroyed. And North Korea, like you guys, everybody want to survive. So first of all, the fact that U.S. Army, which is the strongest army in this world, every year they bring nuclear submarine right beside North Korea. They put a stealth in the air, they put a B-2, and keep threatening that I'm going to F you up at any moment. North Korea, they're pissing their pants for the last 50 years. They're just too scared. Second of all, let me ask you something. In this planet of a human being history, when was the first time that nuclear bomb was actually used? That's the U.S. against Japan. Not only once, they dropped the two fat one, right?
Well,
so let me
different magnitudes and weaponry, but yeah, same concept, yeah.
North Korea is developing atomic right now. They don't have technology for hydrogen bomb. So North Korea is developing something U.S. did back in 50 years ago, and they didn't even get that point yet because they are so technologically inferior. But what I'm saying is this: the only country ever dropped nuke bomb in this world is United States, and the country which has the most nuclear bomb right now is United States. And nobody ever says something about it. That part I have a hard time understanding, because we punish Nazi people who do bad things, right? They went to the court, they got executed. Who got punished for dropping two nuke bombs in Hiroshima and whatever, Tokyo and stuff? Nobody. Even though I read the war history record back then, President Eisenhower and General Eisenhower, he said nuke bomb is totally not necessary. This war is almost over. Japan is a small country with a small resource. They are almost done about this, but they still dropped it.
Well, the same that you have to look at that point is maybe the North Koreans will just drop the bomb. Maybe they'll give it to Iran. Maybe they will transfer it to sectors of fascists in.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
And so, but I can understand that that putting a submarine provokes the region, but I don't know if putting a submarine provokes them. In the sense you're saying, everything that the United States does in this administration. Now, this is a different administration than his predecessor, than George W. Bush. Okay, the current administration is they're not getting engaged as the former administration. They're not putting troops on the ground like we did in the former policy of George W. Bush. We are instead supporting.
Hello?
Groups against dictators, and that's a better policy than we have with putting troops on the ground and sacrificing. As for North Korea, North Korea, most of the world would like to have a nation that is free. I don't know. You're from the region. I would like to know do you think that there should be one Korea Peninsula instead of a North and South?
Well, first of all, here's what I think. North Korea has to be absorbed by China. In that case, nobody will F around anymore. Second of all, South Korea needs to be absorbed by China too. Because right now, let's talk about, because since this issue is so similar to Israel-Palestine issue, about a month ago, Palestine got approved as state by UN voting. 144 country voted for Palestinian being approved as a state, and 6 countries voted against it. Among the 6 countries, there's the US and Israel. You know what South Korean government officially said in the T channel? South Korean government said that in this UN vote for Palestinian being approved as a state, we South Korea, we put neutral. And South Korean government is like, we know that Palestinians are the victim, but because US and Israel are pushing us too much, we cannot vote yes for it. That meaning South Korea is a prostitute. Even though I am still a South Korean citizen, this is a whore, this is a slave. I'm so ashamed of my own country not being able to speak its own voice, playing a whore, prostitute, and a slave. I'm rather this both North and South be conquered by China, be part of that, and speak the voice as they want to speak. That's what I exactly think. And second of all, talking of freedom. Yes, North Korea is a poor country, not a lot of freedom. But talking of freedom, the Palestinians got stuck in Gaza, surrounded by Israeli Air Force and the army. Nobody talked about their freedom either. Actually, the situation of people in the Gaza and Palestinian, especially Gaza bombing a couple of years ago, that's way worse than North Korea. So recently, the Israeli general's son, Miko Peled, he confessed, he revealed everything. But the thing is that none of the US mass media, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, anything, ABC, they never talk about Miko Peled like he doesn't exist, like he's a ghost. This is mass media control, entire United States of America. How come everybody all of a sudden care about North Korea freedom while they do not give a F about something even worse than that, which is Gaza-Palestinian issue? That part is a hypocrisy. I never understand. At least North Korea, nobody drop a bomb like Israeli do Palestinian. They leave, and talk about poverty. Sure, North Korea is poor, very poor. And a lot of people that say that's because they didn't cooperate with the United States. Sure, makes sense, because United States, basically, they just put them in a hole, and no other country can do trade with them because you... But what about Africa? North Korea is as poor as Africa and South America. But here's the difference. Africa and South America followed each direction which U.S. gave them. But they still at the rock bottom. I don't understand. They are just as poor as Africa, and nobody actually get to think about like right next to each other.
But first, let me just go back for a few things you said. The first thing is about Africa. African nations are not looking to gain access to nuclear weaponry. That's the first thing. Second thing is the second thing is in 2000 and let's see 2000 I would probably say more like 2007 maybe, the President George W. Bush went to meet with his diplomatic team went to meet with North Korea, who said put away the nuclear weapons. For generations, and they did. The former leader of North Korea followed through. He received numerous. He received numerous food programs, support from countries around the globe. It was not until his death where his son, the newly put in president, dictator into the region, his country, where he started up the nuclear program again. Testing nuclear bombs. This was not a thing that just happened where the United States were putting nuclear submarines off the coast. The United States has always, following the Korean War and the armistice, have always had submarines, and to answer Ken H., that we have had troops in the ground on the border ordered by Obama. That is not true. We've had troops there. Dating back all the way from the Nixon administrations to all the way up to now. So this is a policy that has always been implanted. So, when the United States says, hey, we're going to provide you with the agreements and start building up nuclear materials, testing nuclear materials, That is defiance of the international community. That is defiance against human rights, not against what the United States about what needs to happen. But just to finalize what I'm saying is basically the United States is only, like I said, its policy is to protect its interest, and that interest is to prevent any nuclear capability of Iran.
Well, I believe that North Korea was about to give up nuclear bomb, like you said, before Kim Jong-un. And what happened after Kim Jong-il's death is that the Gaddafi Libya thing happened, which is the leader of Gaddafi Libya, they literally gave up nuke bomb because U.S. promised them something. And as soon as they gave up nuke bomb, what happened to them? They got terminated, correct? And North Korea, watching that, they learned the lesson. What that means is that whatever U.S. promised, it really doesn't matter, because as soon as they give up their nuke, U.S. will F them up just like they did Gaddafi Libya. Okay, so Gaddafi Libya thing happened.
Well, the Gaddafi Libya, they never had nuclear weapons. They more had it was more logical, I think, and
exactly. Hey, I cannot hear you. Hold on a second. I cannot hear you. Hold on a second. Well, yeah. What happens is that they gave up their whatever the weapon program because U.S. told them that if you guys give up on that whatever weapon you're developing, we will, not kill you, and they did. This international policy doesn't work by a morale with normal people. It's all about power struggle, including China back in 1850. Remember the Opium War? China got attacked by Western countries, got their butt raped, and the reason is the Western countries were selling them heroin. So Chinese government stopped them, saying that stop selling heroin to our people. And guess what Western countries did? They brought their entire army and navy and they just effed them up. International policy, including African slavery, American Indian genocide, never been rational, never been based on trust. It's all about how much of a weapon, how strong are you? If you are strong enough, you're going to survive. If you're not, you're dead. The reason why China developed a hydrogen bomb and space shuttle is because to survive. Back in 1965, Chinese Communist Party, they started developing hydrogen bomb even though they were as poor as Africa. Is because after watching U.S. dropping 2 Fathom on Hiroshima and whatever Tokyo, China realized that if they do not develop a hydrogen bomb and space shuttle, they will have exactly the same fate. So what Chinese did is they put 1.7 billion brain power together just to survive, and they succeeded. That's why right now, because they know that they have equivalent power. So if they do it, they'll mess them back. So they are in what you call that peace balance. In this world, the only way to keep the peace is just keep the power equal.
Well,
that's the. Yeah, I'm listening.
The United States, China's in a whole nother. Hear me now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
China is a whole nother discussion because the United States policy towards China is not as strong as what many senators and congressmen would like to see. That is, like I said, a whole other issue, but which deals with the need for China's vote in the United Nations, not just on North Korea, but also Iran. But I want to read you this. It basically said that in 2011, in response, this is coming from the White House report. In 2011, in response to continued food shortages, Pyongyang reportedly asked the United States, South Korea, and other countries to provide a large-scale food aid. The United States issued an appeal for assistance. In 2008 and 2009, the United States shipped about a third. What I was saying is that in 2011, there was food shortages. In 2008 and 2009, even with the United States not having with disagreement with North Korea, basically they shipped 500,000 megatons of food aid between 1995 and 2009. The United States provided around $600 million in energy assistance with North Korea. And this was basically um, in exchange for North Korea only freezing the plutonium-based nuclear facilities, and they still.
It's breaking up. I cannot hear you.
North Korea, and basically North Korea was given food aid, energy assistance, and North Korea budged. They said we will basically they froze their plutonium-based nuclear sites, and it wasn't until basically recently that this whole nuclear site was brought back up. So you have to think to yourself: is the United States is giving them food, giving them energy assistance, giving them technical assistance for housing, for roads behind closed doors. They're providing supplemental funding packages.
Breaking up.
$1 billion in assistance. That's just basically food aid and energy to nuclear facilities. And what happened was basically on April 13th in 2012, it was North Korea who launched against China, the United States, Russia, all the major United Nations.
I cannot hear you again. I think you need to repeat your.
And what I'm trying to say is that the United States is providing aid to them. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. The last. Would you say the last three sentences again? It was kind of disconnecting back and forth.
What I'm saying is that the United States is providing aid to North Korea, $1 billion in aid, and they still go against what they agreed to with the former dictator, and they still they relaunched their nuclear facility, and the United States said, "Why are we giving you aid, and you're going against what we've agreed to?"
Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people talk about North Korea receiving aid and all that, but you got to remember that one of the major reasons why North Korea is still rock bottom poor is because U.S. isolate North Korea from any other country to do any kind of a transaction. That's the first reason why. Like North Korea, if they were able to do some transaction with other countries, just like South Korea does, not being forcefully isolated by the United States, they will not be half as poor by now. So basically, U.S. caused the major reason for North Korea to be poverty level poor, and then now they give them just a couple of biscuits and snacks. All right? I mean, sure, but let me tell you this. U.S. has been supporting, whatever the French fries in South America for the last 50 years. Did they get out of poverty? I do not think so. Getting out of poverty does not work that way. I mean, yeah, sure. Right now, we give them a couple of French fries to Ethiopian, and they'll be happy for about 2 days or something. Sure. Next day, they'll be poor again. That's why Africa is still in rock bottom for the last 50 years. So is South America. North knows this, so they really do not care about all those aid and stuff. I mean, it's good if there is. It's okay if there isn't. That's basically how it goes. But in case of a nuclear bomb, if they don't have it, they know they will be terminated as soon as possible. That's why.
What do you think is terminated? Do you think the people of North Korea would be terminated, or do you think I think there's a two. You're saying you're making it seem like the United States was going to go in and obliterate all of North Korea. I think the United States policy, and it's a policy it's been for the past 50 years, is not that it wants to see the people suffer, but they want to see the people in power.
It's breaking.
It was in 2011. It wasn't the United States. It was not the.
I cannot hear right now. You might want to repeat.
North Korea in 2011.
Hello?
It was North Korea. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now, yeah.
It was North Korea who came to the United States and to South Korea in 2011 and said we would like to have a food aid assistance program, and in exchange for that we will shut down our facilities.